back to the show. Stephen Smith gives an explanation on why he thinks Donald Trump won again in 2024. He also talks about the evolution of the Democratic Party and whether or not he would have voted for the president-elect. Very interesting video. Y'all check it out.
Welcome back, America. We're here with a dear friend of mine, Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith and I met many years ago at a radio event.
Yeah.
And as I recall, Stephen A., you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you will. You came up to me and you said, I'm a fan of yours. I don't always agree with you.
That's right.
But I like the way you do radio. And I said, there's the great Stephen A. Smith.
Yes.
He's a fan of mine.
Yes.
And we've been friends ever since. We don't agree on everything, but we are very agreeable. And so this is what I wanted to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
More and more, you're in the world of non-sports. You're talking about current events and talking about politics, philosophy, you know, whatever, which is a good thing. And I noticed the other day you're talking about it, and you don't line up with one party or another. You don't really line up with one philosophy or another. And you're kind of calling out Democrats and saying, you know, you got to get with your program. You got to fix what you're doing. You can't keep doing what you're doing and you're going to lose. And you took a lot of hell. So my question to you is this. Isn't this kind of stereotypical that people expect a sports guy, a black guy on ESPN to toe the line or else? And yet, you know what? Because of you, I watch more and more ESPN, and I don't find that to be the case at all. I find a lot of different opinions and a lot of different guys in a lot of different areas. But isn't that problematic?
It's problematic, but I wouldn't confine it to the world of sports. I think that the Democratic Party have been very adroit and skilled up until recently in really coming across as if they have this high moral ground to stand on and essentially guilting people into believing whatever it is that they're singing about. And I think that that ship has sailed now. I think that with these latest election results, the American people have spoken. There's no way around that. When you consider the fact that Donald Trump won all the swing states, that he basically elevated his cachet in every demographic that you can find, he won the popular vote as well as the electoral college vote. It was an indictment against the Democratic Party. They went too far left. They ignored the common sense, middle of the road, sensible voter as far as I'm concerned. I don't believe that most of American citizens are on the fringes, whether it's extreme right or left. I think most of us, whether it's center right or center left, want to be in a position to compromise. We want to see people communicating with one another, getting along with one another and expressing their levels of disagreements. In other words, disagreeing without being disagreeable per se. And we didn't see that. And as a result, when you engage in demagoguery and fear-mongering, and that's your battle cry in order for you to receive votes, the American people said enough of that nonsense. And I'm happy about that. And so the fact that I speak up about that and people attack me, you know me well enough, Mark. Like you said, you and I go back about 20 years now. I could give less than a damn about them attacking me or whatever the case may be. I'm a fair-minded individual. I'm going to call balls and strikes like I see it. And I think that this, just like in 2020, one could argue that folks did not vote for Biden. They voted against Trump. I think in this case, it wasn't about voting for Trump. It was about voting against the left and how extreme they became and how hypocritical their message was ultimately absorbed to be by the American people. That is why they lost this election, and that's why Donald Trump is going back into the White House.
When we come back, my question to you, Stephen A. Smith, is this. You say you probably voted. I think you voted for Kamala Harris.
I did.
Could you see yourself looking back on this, watching how Trump is conducting himself, watching his views, common sense, he says, that's my philosophy, it's common sense, reaching out to an awful lot of people on the Democrat side, even on the left. Could you now see yourself today voting for Donald Trump when we come back?
Okay, guys, gotta say, Stephen A. Smith highlighting how Trump's victory serves as a clear rejection of the Democrat Party's drift towards extreme policies. And that's what we've been talking about for a long time here on the channel. For many Americans, the focus on identity politics and social division overshadowed the practical issues that really mattered, like jobs, inflation, border security. Voters sent a strong message. They want leaders who prioritize results over rhetoric and ideology. But I'm just saying. Hey guys, welcome to the stream. I hope everyone's having a fantastic week. To start things out, big shout outs to everybody in the chat. Deanne, Glow, Joyce, great to see y'all here. All right, watch the rest of this clip with Stephen Smith, because this is just so interesting, the things that he's saying here.
Welcome back, America. Stephen A. Smith. So could you see yourself seeing what you see now? And obviously Donald Trump can't run for president again, but if he could, under the current circumstances, could you see yourself voting for him?
Quite possibly. I'm not going to sit up there and dismiss that anymore. I think we're beyond that. He would have to prove a lot, Mark. And I'm not talking about policy now. For a second, allow me to say this. What concerned me about Donald Trump, and the reason I voted against him and voted for Kamala Harris, was because I felt that he would be divisive, that he would create chaos because he demands such a level of loyalty and fealty to him. And that would take priority over governing our nation. That was my concern. And so I'm looking for both sides to work across the aisle from one another. Having said that, when you see some of the things that he said, if he follows through on some of the things that he has said, it's not just about eradicating inflation, improving the economy, obviously controlling our borders. These are all things that I care about, make no mistake about that, and I certainly would support him in that regard. But it can't be just about fealty to him and loyalty to him. It has to be about getting the job done on behalf of what's in the best interest of the American people, as opposed to yourself, and not engaging in the kind of juvenile tendencies, tweeting all the time and going after people who are really much irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. You do things like that and you show that you're the adult in the room, yeah. I don't think anybody could dismiss Donald Trump at this particular moment in time, not just because of him, but because of what we've seen the Democrats do. We're not falling for it any longer. The American people aren't falling for it any longer. I voted Democrat, and I got to tell you something right now. I don't like the fact that I did. I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't want to hear about, oh, we're about law. We're about a law. Nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law. But then you go out and you pardon your son and you try to blame everybody else for it. I don't want to hear about defund the police. I don't want to hear about, what there should be open borders. I don't want to hear this stuff. And I don't think most of the American people want to hear that. We're thinking about the state of affairs that's in. We're not about America only, but being about America and prioritizing what's going on in this nation with the desolate and the disenfranchised and everybody else in between, and looking out for the best interest of what it is for America. That is not a crime for an American politician or a commander-in-chief or a senator or a congressional figure to have that mentality. I want them to have that mentality. So I think about things along those lines. And I'm no longer interested in, nor do I believe any of us should be interested in listening to a bunch of fear-mongering to tell us who we shouldn't vote for. Why don't you come up with a plan that tells us why we should vote for you? That's what I'm interested in. And if Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Byron Donald, Marco Rubio, or the host of other Republican candidates coming down the pike, that's the kind of message that they're going to put forth, I'm down for it. I'm open-minded enough to make sure that I entertain that from a policy perspective. That's what I want for the American people. That's what I want for this nation.
That's why we love you, my man. Now, one quick question. I don't have a lot of time left.
Sure.
You get this all the time. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Kind of a dumb question, but I like it anyway.
I got to tell you something right now. You can never count out Patrick Mahomes, the reigning two-time defending Super Bowl champion. But this guy, Josh Allen, with the Buffalo Bills, the way he's looking right now, he's my leading candidate for league MVP honors. He looks absolutely phenomenal. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Philadelphia Eagles played the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl and Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills ended up winning a Super Bowl championship. The way this kid is looking, he's looking that special.
I know. And you've got great quarterbacks everywhere, and he's like the standout of the bunch. It's unbelievable. Stephen A., I love your show on ESPN. I love your other shows that you're doing. I'm glad you stepped in it.
Hey, guys, do me a big favor. Hit that thumbs up like button if you're enjoying the stream so far. Got a lot more that I want to show you. Here's the thing, guys, because this election that just happened, it underscores the power of what I was thinking, middle America. Okay? The hardworking men and women who are the backbone of this country, standing up for traditional values. See, Americans are pushing back against the cultural shift that often feels out of touch with everyday struggles. They're calling for free speech to be protected, taxes to be lowered, and the economy to return to strength under conservative leadership. And that, I think, is the message that definitely was spoken during the last election. All right, now, guys, Tyrus, y'all know him on Fox News. He's on the Gutfeld show. He discusses in this next clip the threat posed by the current border policy after a New York woman was set on fire by an illegal immigrant from Guatemala. And then he also talks a little bit about this ethics report on former Representative Matt Gaetz. We're going to get in on all that and got a lot to talk about. But hey, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate everybody that's joined the stream tonight. Let's go, B1 Sly 1 in the chat. All right, let's check this out, guys.
As far as Governor Hochul, shame on her. She supports sanctuary status in that state. She welcomed thousands of illegal aliens to her state. She sent them to Buffalo and Syracuse. Murders occurred by illegal aliens in Buffalo and Syracuse. She has a green light law. ICE and CBP can't even work with local law enforcement. Local law enforcement can't even share DMV data with these people. So Governor Hochul, shame on you. There's nothing you can say that's going to make this right in New York.
So what happened is over the weekend on Sunday morning about 7:30, a woman was nodding off on the subway. Don't know much about her, which is odd. And then this Guatemalan illegal immigrant set her off on fire. I don't know what she was wearing. I don't know if she put liquid on her first, but she died the most horrific death imaginable. And guess what? Because of the cameras that were on board, they were able to get a clean shot of his picture. 3 high school age young men were able to turn him in, called 911. They were able to trap him in a car, shut down the subway, and some brave transit cops took this guy into custody. What we just found out about this Guatemalan is that the DHS reported the suspect was arrested by the NYPD, but he's told now, Bill Malusian, that he was arrested by Border Patrol on June 1st, 2018, after he crossed illegally into Arizona and was deported by the Trump administration just days later on June 7th, 2018. He then re-entered the U.S. illegally as a gotaway and an unknown time and location, as the DHS has found no record of him entering again. He does have an arrest in Arizona. I don't have details, and then he does something horrific like this. My sense, he's got a trail of transgressions behind him. Illegal immigrant, and that Governor Hochul comes out that later on the afternoon about how she's working hard to make the subway safer, and with the National Guard has made him safer than ever. I mean, who's in their communication shop? What knucklehead put that out, and how has not that been walked back yet? Tyrus joins us now, getting set to host the Gutfeld show tonight. Tyrus, welcome back, and your thoughts about what we now know about what happened Sunday in the subway.
I mean, I don't even think you could quite. You did a great job of trying to paint a picture of what is considerably one of the worst ways a person can die. Luckily, Mother Nature does shut off, from what I understand, from researching the feelings after a little while, but the fear and terror, I think you're right until the lights shut out, you know that you're burning alive. So just think about that. And the fact that it never should have happened. And again, the unaffected, especially the virtue signaling left, how she could be, but not just this, but just in general, her laissez-faire attitude towards criminals and the citizens of New York, and seems to spend more time making excuses and actually protecting the people of New York. I don't understand this. I don't. Where's the outrage? It's just it doesn't seem. Every person that I've known, that I come around, regardless of how they vote or how their religion is just complete outrage and disgust. Again, it just goes back to our women and children are not safe in this country right now, and unfortunately, it's going to take a lot more than ICE. It's going to take everyday citizens reporting what they see, supporting law enforcement. I like where Mayor Adams' head is at in this game, where he just wants to get his streets clean and his people safe.
Do you believe him?
Yeah, I do, wholeheartedly. And the reason why I do is that he understands that even by saying these words, that he will not be reelected as a Democrat in New York City. He's putting his political career away to do what he was meant to do and be a policeman and protect the city of New York. I will be shocked and truly devastated if he was to succumb to politics. But I think he knows what his mission is, and hopefully more politicians will think more about getting reelected and getting our cities safe, especially our big cities.
So,
guys, this tragic, horrific case of a New York woman being set on fire by an illegal immigrant from Guatemala is a stark, painful reminder of the failures of our current border policies. These policies not only allow dangerous individuals to enter our country, but they also leave American citizens vulnerable to unimaginable harm. Border security isn't just about immigration. It's about protecting our communities, ensuring the safety of every family. Yet, political leaders who push for open border policies, they seem indifferent to the devastating consequences. I mean, how many more innocent lives have to be lost before our leaders take decisive action to secure the border and prioritize the safety of the American people over political correctness? This is absolutely ridiculous.
Matt Gaetz's ethics report just came out, and it's ugly. But before I get to that, talk about ugly. HHS Secretary Homeland, biggest failure yet. Alejandro Mayorkas tried to justify his legacy yesterday on Face the Nation. And he says the reason why the border was open, politics. Cut 23.
We then turned to Congress, and we asked for supplemental funding that was desperately needed to make our administration of a broken immigration system work much better. We were denied. We then turned to the bipartisan negotiations, which proved successful, which were then killed. The result of it, a really terrific solution, was killed by irresponsible politics.
Right. He blames politics instead of just enforcing the laws that he had. Do you think, Tyrus, this was intentional? I mean, do you think anyone could be that incompetent for 4 years?
Yeah, he's complacent. I think it was the plan. Let's stop kidding ourselves. This entire administration had an opportunity for individuals to run their agendas who are not elected because Biden was unfit to serve. I think we know that more than ever. But what to come out and say that he did all he can. Listen, I think you and I are two cut from the same cloth, Brian, although my cloth is significantly bigger towel. If we could not do a job, if we were unable to do a job, we would say that I can't get this done. I'm going to step down and hopefully somebody else can get in here because what's happening is terrible. And I would out every person that was standing in my way. The fact that he has not only kept the job, he's doubled down on it. He's celebrated himself. He goes out and he's got plenty. And that's another thing. He's got so much time for interviews because he's not doing the job. And that has basically been the entire horrible legacy of this administration is they didn't do the job. They DEI'd the White House. And we are all suffering because of it. And for him to sit there and say it's politics, shame on him. I mean, he's already disgraced for his behavior towards those brave men and women who were riding the horses. And he tried to, well, no, he did. He successfully had the president of the United States condemn them. He condemned them. Right. There was never an apology. There was suspensions. Their families were humiliated. That's just the tip of the iceberg. He has absolutely, I don't know how he sleeps at night, B. I really don't.
So the ethics investigation on Gaetz no longer in Congress came out, even though that's not typical. They say some of the things in the report from 2017 to 2020, Gaetz paid women for engaging in sex. 2017, he engaged with a 17-year-old. They say Gaetz used or possessed illegal drugs. He accepted gifts, including transportation, lodging, in connection with a trip to the Bahamas. He also arranged for his chief of staff to assist a woman with engaged in sexual activity, obtaining a passport. And he knowingly and willfully sought to impede and obstruct the committee's investigation. Some of the highlights. I mean, does he keep his TV job when this comes out? If you're Gates, do you fight this? What do you do?
Okay, before Tyrus answers that one, guys, because I've got an opinion on this one. Y'all let me know if you agree with this or not. But this recent ethics report on former Representative Matt Gaetz has drawn a lot of attention, right? And rightfully so. Conservatives have long championed accountability, transparency in the government. No one should be above scrutiny, all right? I get it. However, it's critical to examine whether these investigations are being conducted with integrity or are simply tools of political weaponization. See, this isn't about defending wrongdoing. It's about ensuring that justice is applied evenly, without bias, without ulterior motives. If ethics investigations become tools to target political opponents, then we risk eroding public trust in our institutions. That's the only thing I'm worried about here, guys, because conservatives have to lead the call for both accountability and fairness, ensuring that our values are upheld without sacrificing our principles.
I think he just needs to go away. But I also think I don't think this is a lone character. I think this is the behavior in politics. I think since he is outed, I think the right thing for him to do is to talk about the environment up there, what they do on the norm up there, because this was obviously being done in broad daylight with other senators around, with other House members around. And it seems the corruption is not just on the left, it's on the right. I think he's one of many, and he should not serve. If you want to watch him on TV, that's your business. Again, it's not. I probably would not. Allegations need to be proven. Everyone should be heard. If there was a criminal, and he's going to face trial or something like that, then maybe and he's convicted of something like that, then he probably shouldn't be on TV.
Yeah, I mean, the FBI passed on it. Lastly, Tyrus, Greenland, 50,000 people, huge land mass, mostly ice. President Trump wants it. My prediction is he gets it. Are you also predicting he gets it from Denmark? And what do we do with it? How soon do we go? Do we get a Greenland Bureau?
I think, well, first of all, why not? It's way better than that in Canada as a 51st state, I'll tell you that much. I like it. I think the first thing we do is that it'll give us a good indication of how the climate's actually doing. Mm-hmm. There's some really good, there's got some of the world's oldest sharks swimming around out there. There's a lot of natural resources out there.
Yep.
And I think, it's a good place to send, Gutfeld.
Absolutely. On vacation.
Get him a tent, a microphone, and every once in a while he can check in and then let us know how it's going.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to send Trey Yinks there. Gutfeld can do a lot of the hard reporting.
He can do that, yeah.
Right.
He's been on maternity leave for 2 years.
I know. What's with that?
Can do yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. We got a lot more to look at here before the show is over today. But go ahead and hit that thumbs up like button. It really does help out the channel. I appreciate all the support, guys, all the love. And hit me up in the chat. If you're just watching, let me know where you're from. Introduce yourself if this is your first time watching. I do a stream every day, 5 p.m., guys. Now, kind of to wrap this up, and then we'll move on to our next subject. But really going back to the illegal immigrants and border crossing, everything that's going on. See, violent crimes like the one that was committed by this illegal immigrant should evoke universal outrage. Yet, there's this eerie silence from mainstream media and progressive leaders. And I have to ask the question, why? Where is their outrage for this victim, for her family, and the broader communities that are affected by crimes like this? Instead, what we see is selective outrage that focuses on narratives that fit their political agenda, ignoring cases that highlight the failures of open border policies. And this double standard, guys, it's not just hypocritical. It's deeply damaging to our society. If we can't address such tragedies with honesty and fairness, we risk allowing these issues to grow unchecked, further dividing the nation and endangering the public. But anyway, guys, that's just my 2 cents. Y'all let me know in the chat what you think. I appreciate, again, everyone for watching. All right, here's the thing, guys. Biden is under fire for commuting all of these death sentences. Y'all may have heard about it. 37 federal inmates that were under death row all those have been commuted. And so I've got Senator Eric Schmidt in this next clip, and he's going to talk about this. Absolutely insane. Biden is going off the rails. Y'all check out the latest from this absolute disaster of an administration.
Republican Senator Eric Schmidt of Missouri, member of the Armed Services, Commerce, and Joint Economic Committees. He was also the former Attorney General of Missouri, joins us now. So what do you think of these commutations? 37 out of 40 death row inmates, including people who were responsible for taking the lives of young children. Biden says this is to ensure a fair and effective justice system. For the family members of the victims, how is that in any way doing that?
It isn't, and it's 2 days before Christmas. I can only imagine the grief and the shock that these families are experiencing as they get ready for the holidays, remembering the loved ones that were lost and now having to deal with this sort of insult to injury. And I think Joe Biden, in his effort to Trump-proof, we saw some of that, for the next administration, whether it's hiding DEI workers or things at the border. This is just beyond the pale. And I think he's cementing his status as one of the worst presidents in American history, certainly this side of Woodrow Wilson. And I think, John, in that intro, you told, it's important, as a former prosecutor myself, I think it's important to talk about the victims here. Lexis Roberts went on a camping trip with her mother and Thomas Sanders. Thomas Sanders, on the way back, took her mother out and executed her in cold blood in front of Lexis, then slit Lexis Roberts' throat and let her die in the woods. This is someone that Joe Biden, on the eve of Christmas, decided to commute his sentence. This is nuts. This is totally nuts. And so the outrage is real. It's justified. And again, Joe Biden, on his way out, is again cementing his status as one of our worst presidents.
Well, I mean, it really makes you wonder what's going through his mind when you commute the sentence of a person like that. Wanted to move on to this with you because I know this is a big issue for you. President-elect Trump not backing off his promises to get tough on immigration just as soon as he gets into office. Listen to what he said over the weekend.
On my first day back in the Oval Office, I will sign a historic slate of executive orders to close our border to illegal aliens and stop the invasion of our country. And on that same day, we will begin the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than that of President Dwight D. Eisenhower. We're going to get them out. We're going to get them out fast. We have no choice.
But President Biden could be fighting back in his final days in office. A New York Times report says he is considering a plan to extend protection for hundreds of thousands of immigrants whose legal status will expire under Trump. Under the Biden administration, there have been historic numbers of border encounters. Since February of 2021, Customs and Border Protection has seen more than 10.7 million migrants at the border. So this would be an extension of temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of people who entered this country illegally. I talked to Tom Homan this morning. He says that those aren't the people that they're going to be targeting, at least not in the initial wave, unless they are criminals. So what effect would this really have?
It wouldn't have any effect. And by the way, if it's executive order, President Trump can undo that. If it's some sort of administrative rule, Congress can come in under the Congressional Review Act and reverse that. I haven't seen that specifically, but this is Joe Biden on the way out doing what he did on the way in, which was reversing all the success we had under President Trump. There were 94 executive orders that Joe Biden did in the first 100 days to undo that success. President Trump, I would expect, as he alluded to in that clip, to come in and secure the border, bring back Remain in Mexico. You're going to see deportations of these illegal immigrants that are terrorizing our communities, the flood of fentanyl that's coming in and killing our neighbors, our brothers, our sisters, our cousins. And so President Trump ran on this. This was part of his mandate. It's part of the reason why he swept all the battleground states and won the popular vote. The American people don't want to see an open border. These aren't just white papers anymore, John. These people got in charge, and they wreaked havoc on our country. And President Trump's coming in, and Holman's coming in, and they're going to do what they said they were going to do, which is deport these criminals who are taking over apartment complexes, lighting people on fire on New York subways. I mean, we saw that news yesterday. I mean, this stuff's nuts, and I think the American people are going to welcome this.
Well, they're going to hit the ground running. There's no question about that. You know, the Wall Street Journal editorial board is calling it the sanctuary state migrant boom. It asks, quote, are Democrats in self-declared sanctuary states trying to attract illegal migrants to compensate for growing domestic flight to other states? It's a fair question, as the Census Bureau's latest report shows that New York, California, and Illinois have reversed a years-long trend of declining population, but only thanks to foreign migration. A separate opinion piece points to the impending constitutional showdown between the incoming Trump administration and sanctuary cities pushing back on immigration policies. It argues that those local officials will lose in court. Back to Tom Homan, he has said that any city or state official who stands in his way of removing these particularly criminal illegal aliens will be prosecuted. Can he do that?
Yeah, they have no legal foot to stand on here, these sanctuary mayors, to prevent federal jurisdiction to deport folks. And forever, John, you know, Republican or Democrat presidents, the law of the United States of America was if you came here illegally, you were detained. Unless there was a reason like your asylum claim was adjudicated, you got to stay. Otherwise, you were deported. That wasn't until 4 years ago when they flipped this thing, you know, on its head. And to your earlier point, the worst kept secret here is, yeah, the Democrats were relying on illegal immigrants to bolster their census for 2030 because you don't need to be a citizen to be counted in the census. And so that's been their plan all along. And then their next part of that plan was if they won, heaven forbid, they'd have mass amnesty for the illegal immigrants. And so thankfully President Trump won, and we're going to be deporting these criminals again that have terrorized our community. So these sanctuary city mayors and in these states, I think this is a lot of puffery right now to sound tough to their political base. But I'd advise them, they might want to take a look at the election results. That's not what people, even in states like California or New York, actually voted for as they moved to the right.
You know, in some municipalities, you can even vote in local elections if you're not a citizen. So that's going to affect the makeup of some city councils and things as well. Senator, thank you very much for being with us. Really appreciate it. All of our best to you in the holiday season. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Jim.
All right, guys. And hey, Merry Christmas to you too. Hope everyone is ready to go. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Let's go. Hope y'all are as excited about Christmas as I am. But kind of just commenting on that video that we watched there, and I want to go back to Biden commuting these sentences, 37 federal death row inmates. This decision, guys, undermines justice for victims and their families. Commuting the sentences of 37 federal death row inmates, it sends a clear message that accountability for the most heinous crimes no longer matters. These sentences were handed down by juries after extensive legal processes to ensure justice was served. By overturning these, President Biden is disregarding the legal system and the voices of those who suffered unimaginable loss. I mean, what does that mean for the future of justice in America? By prioritizing these commutations and considering migrant protections, President Biden appears more focused on appeasing the far-left progressive wing of his party than addressing the everyday concerns of Americans. And at a time when crime rates are rising in major cities, border crisis remains unsolved, this move, it just feels out of touch with the struggles of hardworking citizens. Instead of enforcing the law and protecting public safety, Biden's actions, it just seems to signal that political optics take precedence over the well-being of the country. But that's just my 2 cents. And honestly, guys, this sets a dangerous, alarming precedent for future administrations, right? If the president can override decisions made through extensive judicial processes simply to fulfill a political agenda, where does it end? I mean, these decisions aren't just about the inmates. They're about respecting the rule of law. They're about separation of powers. When justice is treated as a political bargaining chip, it weakens the very foundation of our democracy It puts the integrity of the legal system at risk. I mean, this is absolutely insane what Biden's been doing. But let me know what you think, guys, because maybe I'm overreacting here. I don't think I am, but maybe I am. All right. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. Hey, also, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate everyone that joined into the show today. Hey, tomorrow again, Christmas Eve, Christmas on Wednesday. The intention is tomorrow to have a show. Now, I'm not sure what's going to happen on Christmas, okay? We may be partying too hard, if you know what I mean, okay? We might getting a little bit crazy. Keeping it real. Hope everyone, though, is having a fantastic week. Just thankful for all of God's blessings, and appreciate this time of the year when everyone just kind of comes together. People just talk nicer around Christmas time. You see everyone, people saying Merry Christmas. It just, people have smiles on their faces, and that's honestly a reason that I love this time of the year. But anyway, I'm not overreacting. Not overreacting. Oh my word, guys, it's crazy. Hey, do me a big favor. Hit that thumbs up, like button. I appreciate all the support, guys. It really does help out the channel every time y'all do that. So thanks for all the likes, guys. And hey, if this is your first time joining in on the stream, hit that subscribe button. Just join the community. We're here every day, every weekday, 5 p.m. Central Time, doing a show. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring y'all the most relevant facts, the most relevant news, and trying to give you that correct perspective, guys, because we all know, like, your worldview makes a big difference on how you see what's going on around you. And everybody's lying. Like, have you noticed that? Like, I don't know what happened to truth in this world, but everybody's lying nowadays, and I'm trying to cut through all the lies and trying to show y'all the truth and trying to show you what's really happening. And guys, I'm very optimistic, and I know y'all know I always say this at the end of the show. I'm very optimistic about our future. Donald Trump is coming in. I'm very excited for what he's going to do. Very excited for the next 4 years. I'm praying that he makes good decisions, and that everyone kind of aligns, that he gets this dream team I can't even talk. This dream team going, that they're very effective, that Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy kind of trimmed the fat, and that we can really rebuild a government that is for the people, that is America first, that prioritizes America in the world. We've got to get back to that. We've got to get back to the good capitalistic entrepreneurial principles. We've got to get back to good Christian principles in this country. That's what we stand for, and that's what the right has to do. The conservatives have to do. We have to stand up for what we believe in. We have to stand up for what's true, for what's right, and that's one of the reasons I started this channel. And I just want to say I appreciate all the support, everyone, for joining in, guys. I hope y'all have a Merry Christmas. Again, I'll be here tomorrow, but I know that it's Christmas Eve, so not expecting everyone to join in on the stream. Maybe you'll watch it after the fact. But everyone, if I don't see you again before Christmas, you'll have a fantastic Merry Christmas, and I'll see you again, I guess, the day after Christmas. We'll be here. We'll be here live, 5 p.m. All right, thanks for watching again, guys. Y'all have fantastic